Gotta have my cream soda. Give me energy and give me strength for this. God, right, we're ready. Let's get started. Welcome, one and all, to Stella's first camp wrestling review. First of all, what do I mean by the word camp in the context of wrestling? I'm glad you asked. I explained this in my last video, but I'll do it again for you guys now. For me, this means that my love of wrestling feels a lot like my love of drag. Let me explain. Drag is hyper-femininity done to an extreme degree that feels fun and playful, almost like a caricature. And wrestling, at least in the mainstream, is hyper-masculinity done to an extreme degree that feels fun and playful in a very similar way to me. It's two sides of the same coin. It's camp in the best way possible. 2023 marked the first year that AEW held their All-In pay-per-view show in London, England, at the iconic Wembley Arena. It was their first pay-per-view event held outside of North America. All-In was the first professional wrestling event held at the current Wembley Stadium, and the first held at the venue in over 30 years, after WWE's SummerSlam in 1992, which was held at the original stadium. The storylines were building it up to be a memorable night of wrestling, and it was the first ever show that I went to see live. Going to see the show in person happened by complete coincidence for me. But long story short, my brother got 2 tickets because he wanted to go so bad, so he ended up inviting me since when we were back in school together, we used to watch wrestling all the time together on TV. Now, I don't know if you can tell by my accent by now, but I don't live in London. This meant that both me and my brother had to travel a grueling 5 hours in a megabus to get to the city. It was definitely an experience. To be honest, I enjoy long journeys because if they're not too stressful, it's not too bad. It was actually pretty relaxing, and I enjoy not being having an excuse to not doing anything. Like, you're stuck in a megabus for 5 hours, babe. So I couldn't do anything even if I wanted to. Me pretending like I'm not lazy, but it's a nice way to do fuck all and not feel guilty, so. Before I go into the details of the show itself and my review of it, let me preface this whole video by saying this is a review of a wrestling show done by a person who doesn't know and therefore probably can't fully appreciate the ins and outs of technical wrestling. And yes, that person is me. I therefore will be focusing on 2 things: storylines, which is always fun, and my personal favourite bitch, the camp factor. I just hit myself in my face with my nails! Anyway, also this video is going to be split into 3 parts because there's 11 matches for me to get into here, so I have my work cut out for me. Okay, let's get into it. During the All-In 0-hour pre-show, the wrestlers Jeff Jarrett, Karen Jarrett, they're married, Sanjay Dutt and Satnam Singh came out to insult the crowd, and I specifically remember Jeff Jarrett calling the English crowd slags because it's burnt in my mind forever. How could it not be? It's camp, it's iconic. We're getting it now, we're getting it, okay. They had security guards in this segment, I believe, if my mind isn't, proving me wrong. My brother pointed out that one of them was the wrestler Simon Miller. He has a really good YouTube channel on here, and I'll link it down below if I can figure that out. But you should subscribe. Why? Here's why. That hurts, I don't know how he does that. It's a fun catchphrase. Paul White, aka The Big Show, Anthony Ogogo and Grado came out to attack Jarrett. Satnam and Sanjay, with Grado hitting Jarrett with Jarrett's own guitar. Amazing stuff, lads. Also, I'd be remiss not to mention Grado's iconic, and yes, camp entrance. Ladies, gentlemen, and every beautiful person in between. He comes out to the music of Like a Prayer by Madonna. I have absolutely no choice but to be a fan of that behaviour. My hands are tied, bestie. He gets rooms full of mostly straight dudes singing their little hearts out to Madonna as if they're 13-year-old girls alone in their bedrooms. It's perfection. And yes, I know that 13-year-old girls alone in their room do that because I was that at one point. Please tell me I'm not the only one. Also, I remember seeing him live at a TNA show once, and let me know if you want a review of that show in the future, because I'm very willing. It was a very good show. And as he was stepping into the ring, he climbed up onto the top rope, wobbling as if he was scared of the height. And the ref helped him jump down bravely, as if he was a toddler. If that's not great, I simply don't know what is, guys. Come on. The way the crowd was cheering for him like mad though. Yes, including me. I mean, if a room full of adults congratulating a grown man for conquering his fear of heights isn't camp, then I simply don't know what is, people. Come on. The first two matches of the night were on the pre-show, and this was MJF and Adam Cole, aka Better Than You Baby. Started it off with a bang by challenging Aussie Open for the ROH Tag Team Championships. As I mentioned in my previous video, I loved the bromance storyline between MJF and Adam Cole so much, because it is what? Camp. But what I've failed to mention up until now is that MJF is actually one of my favourite wrestlers, and hopefully as this video progresses, you'll start to see why. Also, full transparency, I kind of have a thing for him. Hey, you don't have to be a bisexual menace like me to enjoy wrestling, but it sure helps. It sure helps, yes. Anyway, I was laughing so much as Better Than You Baby made their entrance. I loved hearing both of the wrestlers' music mashed up together. It sounded so cursed, and it's still on my playlist to this day. I go to the gym and listen to it. Why? Because I'm not well, but it's fun, okay? It's really fun. MJF gave little brother energy as Adam Cole was hitting his boom pose. Suddenly, Aussie Open attacked them before they could finish their poses fully, and because the crowd loved Better Than You Baby so much, this gave Aussie Open major heel heat. Everyone loved that team of Adam Cole and MJF. This meant that the match started with Aussie Open having the upper hand. Also, Aussie Open's music is so goofy but so good. I had it stuck in my head like for the rest of the day when I went to Wembley. It's that like straight white boy like pub chant, you know, it goes like Oggy Oggy Oggy, oi oi oi, but they change it to the word Aussie, so it's Aussie Aussie Aussie, oi oi oi, and that is just, it's great. It's what? Let me hear you say it. Camp, it's camp, you're getting it, yes. Later on, MJF, being the performer that he is, delivered a successful double kangaroo kick on both of them, and yes, it's called that because he's hitting two Australians with it. Like I said, camp fun. The crowd erupted into cheers as he twanged the top rope in celebration. MJF and Cole delivered a double clothesline to Kyle Fletcher and pinned him to become the new ROH World Tag Team Champions. This match was so much fun for me to watch as an audience member in the crowd. I really loved how MJF and Adam Cole's friendship was such an integral part of the match, particularly because MJF's like known to be a really good heel, and I don't know what that says about me liking a man that's a heel, but let's not psychoanalyze that. That's not enjoyable for me. Anyway, it was really interesting, the kind of dynamic of like, you know, him being such a notorious heel and whether he would, you know, kind of open to Cole's friendship to him, or whether he would betray him because like that's all he's ever known, you know. He's like they kind of alluded to it, it's kind of like, you know, his kind of like Joker moment, that kind of thing, like people don't trust him, he's never had a friend, yada 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 yada. And as an enjoyer of camp media, I really appreciate that, boys. FYI, I'm so sad that they hate each other now. Better Than You Baby, you will be missed, you will be missed. After the match, Cole is seen holding and looking longingly at Max's championship belt, alluding to the main event of the show where both Cole and Max will have to fight each other for the AEW World Championship. Would their friendship last? Or would one of them screw the other over at a chance of victory? I was so excited. Next match. This is the final match on 0 Hour, aka the pre-show, and Jack Perry defended the FTW Championship against Hook in an FTW Rules match, which I think is basically a hardcore match. I'm not a great person with the technicalities of wrestling, so just bear with me. A lot of like that kind of information might be wrong, and by all means, if it is, correct me in the comments. I would really appreciate it. As long as people are respectful and don't like get overly aggressive with me, that is fine, and it would actually help me a lot, so thank you. I think an FTW Rules match is basically where it's like a hardcore match and they're only sometimes allowed to finish outside the ring. I'm not sure though. Jack Perry made his grand entrance into the ring in a black limo, and later on in the match, both dudes absolutely battering each other on top of this thing. Jack Perry then proceeds to knock on the glass in front of the limo and yell into the camera for the entire audience to hear the words, "Real glass! Go cry me a river!" Hook then reversed his move on him, meaning that Jack had to take a huge bump on not fake, but real glass. Don't mind me, guys. I've got to go cry myself a river now. If you're confused about this, don't worry, you're not the only one. I was confused too. I remember thinking at the time that it felt so random, but to be fair, so does a lot of things wrestlers do, so it really didn't make much of a difference. Maybe I'm beginning to become desensitized, actually. Oh well, rip. Apparently we now know that this incident occurred because the wrestler CM Punk, who was in AEW at the time, he's now in WWE, it's a whole thing. And that's what I'm currently talking about, how he got let go from AEW, and this is that incident, so we're gonna get into it now. But yeah, CM Punk's in the show, like, later on, so we will be discussing him, don't worry. Apparently he disagreed with the spot because of the dangers involved, which is, like, fair, I guess. I mean, I'm not a wrestler, so I don't know the ins and outs of it. It doesn't seem safe, cutting your body full of glass by choice. Like, in wrestling, they can use, like, fake glass. It's a lot less dangerous because it's not shards of glass piercing your whole fucking body. Like, that would wreck. And Jack obviously went on to do it anyway. Without kind of regarding his concerns, and the comment of "cry me a river" was targeted directly at Punk in a kind of disrespectful way, kind of goading him, because I guess him not wanting to let him do the spot pissed him off, which, you know, that's, again, it's not for me to comment on, but yeah, I'm just explaining. I'm just the messenger, folks. I'm trying to get my facts right. This then led to an altercation backstage after this very match that I'm talking about. The two wrestlers are seen fighting, like for real, both CM Punk and Jack Perry backstage after this match with Hook that I'm like talking about. You can even go and watch the actual backstage footage after the boss of the company, Tony Khan, released it. He released this footage after he released CM Punk from his very own contract in AEW. It was a whole thing, and it's giving messy, drama, camp. I love it. It's ridiculous. And if that's not drag, I don't know what it is. Like, mama, come on. Oh yeah, and Perry lost the FTW championship to Hook in this match, by the way. But needless to say, it was kind of overshadowed by the drama, unfortunately, which is a shame. It's unfortunate that, like, two people's hard work was overshadowed by some grown man being petty to another grown man. Get a grip, you know? To be honest, if two people getting catty about stuff backstage isn't similar to drag, then I don't know what is. Like, I've been in many a gay bar and in many of, like, a drag burlesque bar where you can see that happening, and it gets physical in a very similar way as it gets physical in, like, that very video. So, two sides of the same coin, like, bestie, come on, get it. Next match. The actual pay-per-view began with CM Punk. See, I told you we'd get to him. Never doubt me. He was defending the Real World Championship against Samoa Joe, but please, you guys don't know him like I do, so refer to him as Samoan Joseph, out of respect. In fact, we are so close that I call him Samoa Joey. Now, you heard me mention the Real World Championship, and I fear I may need to give you guys some context on that, like now. During one of Punk's promos before Wembley, he held a red bag he described as containing something he never lost. And the following month, Punk revealed that the contents of the bag had the AEW World Championship belt that he had won in 2022 All Out. He subsequently referred to himself as the Real World's Champion, as he was never technically defeated for the title, and then proceeded to spray paint a black X onto the belt. The X being a symbol that Punk uses in reference to his straight edge lifestyle, I believe. However, as I mentioned previously following this backstage incident with, you know, Punk and Perry fighting, like, physically, like, hitting each other. Also, random side note, Tony Khan got hit by, like, a monitor, because he's the boss of AEW, he's the boss of a company. He was watching the matches and, like, you know, I guess making sure everything was running smoothly. Needless to say, it wasn't, kind of. And as he was doing that, they both were fighting in front of him and his desk, and the desk had a monitor on it. It's not funny, I shouldn't be laughing. It's kind of funny, it's a little bit funny. But yeah, as these two grown men wrestlers are fighting, this monitor, like, I guess one of them, like, hit the monitor, like the screen that he was watching it on, and it fell on him, and it fell on the boss, and needless to say, he was a little bit cheesed off. He was a bit pissed off, which is like, you know, valid. That's fair, that's valid. But I do remember at the time, and I know that this is like mean, but I do remember at the time after like the show, that there was tons of memes about it and jokes about it online, and I can't lie, some of them were really funny. Y'all are funny. That was a funny time. People were getting creative with it. There was a lot of Simpsons memes. I enjoyed that. Anyway, but yeah, needless to say, Punk's contract was terminated, and I mention that again because therefore the real world championship that I'm like referring to now was subsequently dropped. Back to the match itself. In the opening stages, Joe violently swung Punk into the announce table where like the commentators sit and everything. He swung him into that. I was being fed with my bestie Joe's content. Thank you, hon. After hitting him like into the announce table, like if you haven't seen the like just look at the video, like he's in it, he's under it, it's like smashed. He flips him off, gives him a middle finger, gives him one of these. And as I mentioned before, Samoa Joe is one of my absolute boys. Like, he's great. I like got really into him when he was in WWE. That's like kind of when I started watching wrestling. When I was about like 16, like properly giving it a chance. I'm sorry. I was surprised at kind of like that behaviour, because it's unlike him from what I can recall, to have that kind of aggression out of nowhere to a match like this, particularly with CM Punk. Like, it was just, correct me if I'm wrong, but it just seemed really random, and some of that could actually be like me giving it like more context now that I know the situation, so that might be bollocks, but it was odd. It was a little bit odd, but I didn't think much of it at the time. After the show, Joe said this in an interview regarding the fight backstage with Punk and Perry. I've seen fights break out, stuff happens, but again, that's me. I've been in these situations, I've seen that. I'll find it funny when people are like, oh, Joe's cool with it. I mean, nah, man. It was a high-stress situation, sure, but I mean, it's one I've seen happen many times. We got it squashed out, we had a show to do, we had fans waiting there, and that was my focus, because that's what it was about at that moment. We were about to go out and have the best night of our lives. Joe fans, we rejoice! They're shaking, they're screaming, they're shaking the stands right now in the stadium. I'm alone in my room with the camera. My fringe is not wanting to cooperate. Please look decent. The match itself ended by Punk biting Joe's face. Yeah, I know. There was blood, from what I remember, I think. And I obviously probably can't include that. But yeah, it was intense. You can't afford to be that squeamish if you're a wrestling fan. And CM Punk performed the Pepsi Plunge. Now, I'm so sorry to anyone who's a CM Punk fan, but I fucking hate that name for a move, and I'll tell you as to why. I don't mind camp names for like moves and stuff if your gimmick is in and of itself camp, like the Outrunners, my absolute fucking boys, my lads. Their stuff is really silly and goofy because they themselves have a really silly and goofy gimmick, like the Youngest Men Alive, all that. It's like an 80s gimmick. That's fun, and it goes really well with wrestling, and I love them. Side note, I need to get like an Outrunners shirt, for real. I really like them. But CM Punk's whole thing is like, you know, straight edge punk, like really cool, takes himself seriously, like hero, the people's princess. It's stupid. So having a move like that just feels really out of place. And I know that he has like a Pepsi tattoo with the logo. It's like really big and dirty on his arm. I can't comment on stupid tattoos. Like, I have a dumb tattoo. I have a Kuromi tattoo on my arm. Wait. Kuromi tattoo. That is permanently on my body forever. I make great decisions. Famously, I make great decisions. I'm happy with it though, and it's my body. But it's something that annoys me, okay? That's just my opinion. You're entitled to your own. Anyway. But yeah, needless to say, that was CM Punk's final match in AEW. Fun times. Next match, the faction Bullet Club Gold, containing the members of Jay White, Juice Robinson, Austin Gunn, and Colton Gunn, accompanied by Konosuke Takeshita and Don Callis, face the Golden Elite, a faction containing the members of Kenny Omega, Kota Ibushi, and Hangman Adam Page. Bullet Club Gold's entrance was the definition of camp, and so much of that is thanks to the absolute diva, the moment, she's the moment, Juice Robinson. That bitch performs his ass off in front of the camera and the audience every minute of every second he is in front of them. And I commend that. He deserves the world. He deserves nothing less of the world. I drink to that, cheers. I mean, the man is on all fours, shaking his head chaotically at the camera, like me, blackout drunk at the club. Iconic behaviour if I do say so myself. Now for the actual match in the closing stages, Ibushi delivered a lariat and a standing moonsault to White, but Takeshita broke up the pin. Omega then performed a dragon suplex to White and Robinson each, but Takeshita hit a Blue Thunder driver to Omega for a 2 count. Yes, I am reading this off of a script because, again, I'm not very good with technical wrestling moves, and if I don't write it down, I'm gonna get the information wrong. I might have gotten it wrong anyway. So again, if people are willing to correct me in a very kind way, I would appreciate it. Omega then delivered a reverse Frankenstein into Takeshita for a 2 count. Hangman then performed a buckshot lariat to Takeshita. That's a hard phrase to say. To Takeshita. My white ass could not say that anyway. Allowing Omega to hit V-triggers to Robinson and White each, but then Takeshita then pinned Omega with a schoolboy to score the victory for his team. Hi guys, so that was the end of the first part of this 3-part video. I think I said 3-parter. I have a few updates to talk about. My first ever video that I posted, my first ever video essay that I posted, got copyright claimed by WWE. It's fine, it's a learning process. Hi besties. Love what you're doing. Hi. We're tight. But yeah, that's why I'm filming myself today, because I'm hoping that since I'm talking about a pay-per-view specifically, I don't want to include too much content and video footage or anything that's not mine. I only want to intersperse them, if I decide to do so, I might not at all, to kind of give you visual references to what I'm talking about in my video. So hopefully I figure that out as I go along, so bear with me. Yeah, hopefully my explanations of the matches and everything have been good enough to paint a picture for you all. I wanted to give a little shout out to my big brother Joe for giving me a helping hand on my script. He's an absolute legend. And I wanted to say a big thank you to everyone watching for my first and last video doing so much better than I expected view-wise. It was just a little project that I did to have fun, keep myself preoccupied. I'm creative, I do my painting and stuff like that. So I like having little things that I can tinker away with, and having people actually watch it was mad. I was expecting to upload it and get about 5 views, and now it's slowly crawling up to 100, and that's crazy to me. So if you're someone who's watched it or watched this video, I want to say a big thank you. It's given me a lot of confidence, and I really enjoy this process of me just yapping online. And anyone who wants to listen, I commend you for that, because it's hard to listen to me yap sometimes. I can't listen to myself all the time, I can't lie. But yeah, if anyone has any suggestions for videos that you'd like to see from me, either continuing with the subject of wrestling, because clearly I can talk about that for hours, and I have been. I do also have other interests, such as my painting, my fashion, my makeup, my hair, just random bollocks. I game and stuff. If people would like to hear other stuff from me, that's okay. If you want me to stick with this specifically, that's also okay. I would just like to see what people kind of want from me, so then I can kind of work with you all to give you the stuff that you want to watch, because I appreciate people actually giving a shit, so I want to give a shit for you guys as well. But yeah, if you have any comments, any suggestions, any thoughts, any conversations that you want to have with me in the comments, feel free. I'd love to talk to people and get kind of like a conversation going about wrestling and stupid crap that I like. Oh, but yeah, if you do comment or anything to any of my videos, keep in mind that I would just like for people to be respectful. I know that you shouldn't have to say that, but online, like, people can be horrible, and I do appreciate that, like, me saying that is probably going to get a level of animosity at some point just to get a reaction. I will not give a reaction, though, apart from deleting and blocking people. I will delete people's comments that is disrespectful, because that's just where my boundary is, and if that's something that pisses you off, don't be on my channel then. There's a million other channels on YouTube, so that's just what I'm comfortable with. Also, can we make some commotion for the jacket? Do we like it? Do we love? Wait, let me... How am I going to do this? I want to show the jacket in its full form. Hello. Peep my Burberry, peep my burb. My burb, if you will. It's not real. I got it from... Or at least I don't think it's real. I paid, like not enough. Burberry is, like, super expensive. But I got it from, like, a charity shop down south called Bounce, I think it's called, Bounce Vintage. If I can, like, link them or anything, I'll try, because they're a really cute shop. I actually really like it. I added the Chromie pin because I'm a Sanrio girl. It has a secret pocket. The things I could keep in here. Many secrets. Anyway. Bye!